Good morning, Unity of New Braunfels. Let's let the Spirit move us together as we stand and affirm. I'm going to sing when the Spirit says sing. I'm going to sing when the Spirit says sing. I'm going to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, I'm going to sing right along. Sing when the Spirit says sing. So, when the Spirit says sing, what are you going to do? Sing. Are you going to sing out loud? Yeah. Come on here. I'm going to sing when the Spirit says sing. I'm going to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, I'm going to sing right along. Sing when the Spirit says sing. I'm going to love when the Spirit says love. I'm going to love when the Spirit says love. When the Spirit says love, I'm going to love right along. Love when the Spirit says love. I'm going to clap when the Spirit says clap. I'm going to clap when the Spirit says clap. When the Spirit says clap, I'm going to clap right along. Clap when the Spirit says clap. Hush, I'm going to hush when the Spirit says hush. I'm going to hush when the Spirit says hush. When the Spirit says hush, I'm going to hush right along. Hush when the Spirit says hush. I'm going to sing. Sing when the Spirit says sing. I'm going to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, I'm going to sing right along. Sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing.
Good morning. I'm Cynthia Smith, and I am your prayer chaplain for today. Welcome. We're happy to see everybody. And welcome to our online viewers who will be viewing later, and to any guests who might be with us for the first time today. We'd like to get you in to get to know you a little better further on into the service, but we welcome you and we're very glad you're here. As we settle in for our opening prayer, breathing deeply in and out in the calm. Just past the fantasy of our own glory into the reality of God's. This is where we are going to unite, basking in unconditional love like a sun, our hot toes dipping into the same cool pool, our splashes and joyful shrieks rising up like a song, like the laughter of children mingling into the air we breathe, solidarity, truth, fresh oxygen at last. Just on the other side of your trauma, his blessing, her fears, will finally melt into the realization all roads lead to the heart of God. Every crooked path, even yours, even mine. We are all created in the image of the one who never let us go, who has been leading us home all along.
Thank you, Cynthia. Well, good morning and welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Kathy McNamara. I am going to be speaking today in lieu of Reverend Gary, who some of you know is in Ajijic, Mexico on a sabbatical. He's doing a ministry in residence there. So let's talk about unity. Unity is a positive, practical approach to Christianity. We use a lot of different things in unity. We use the teachings of our founders, the Fillmores. We use the Bible, the master teacher Jesus' teachings, and many other spiritual leaders. And what unity does is it allows us to recognize that divine spark in every creature, every one, that ignites in us the ability to see God in everything and everyone. So it doesn't matter where we worship or how we worship or with whom we worship, We acknowledge that there is the one. Now, in my research for today's talk, I came across a saying from a Sufi poet, Hafiz. And I read this and thought, oh, I've got to share this with the congregation on Sunday. I am in love with every church and mosque and temple and any kind of shrine because I know it is there that the people say the different names of the one God. That's from the Sufi. That to me is kind of a universal acceptance of that's what we teach in unity. And I had to share that with you. I thought it was so beautiful. So, as Reverend Gary would say, with gusto, let's read our affirmation together. There is one presence, one power, active in my life and in the universe. God, the good, the omnipotent. Okay. Cynthia? This is the Cynthia and Kathy show today.
Today's daily word is inner peace. Let's please repeat the affirmation 3 times. The peace of God is mine to live and mine to share. The peace of God is mine to live and mine to share. The peace of God is mine to live and mine to share.
Thank you. And now, if you have any electronic devices, smartphones, cell phones, whatever, we ask that you put them into the silent mode, or as we used to call it, stun mode, so that they won't disturb you during the service. And again, I love Gary saying, they'll get their messages while you're here and we get ours. Okay.
All right, our unity vision. Let's repeat this together with gusto. A world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening.
And then we have our core values, empowering. Repeat this with me. Let's do this 3 times, because I love the word empowering. Let's make that soak into our being this morning, all right? Let's go.
I am empowered with the energy and strength of spirit.
I am empowered with the energy and strength of spirit. I am empowered with the energy and strength of spirit. All right, I love that. I love that.
Sacred Service volunteers, John!
John, where's John? There he is.
John Berkman does everything. He's a board member and part of the facility team. He does, if there's anything that goes on in this church, he's probably a very good part of it and helps us all get results, and we love you, John.
Yes, that's why I put plus a whole lot of other stuff. Because every time I'm at this church, John's here and he's doing something different. He's doing something else. So John, we're going to keep John in our thoughts and prayers this week as we lift him up for all of his service and all he does. And he was very busy this week as well, I know. So thank you, John, for all that you do. Absolutely. Okay, so Sunday prayer service. As you know, we stopped doing our Wednesday noon meditations, and the prayer chaplains got together with Reverend Gary, and every Sunday now, in the Gratitude and Prosperity Room from 9:30 to 10, there will be a Sunday prayer service. It might be the same meditation you've become accustomed to. It might be a guided meditation. The prayer chaplains have taken that responsibility on. It will be unique to them, and we invite you to come every Sunday, 9:30. We did that so you're coming to church anyway. You can come a little earlier and get that extra oomph for the day and to start the week off, okay? Any August birthdays?
Oh, wow. You are, right?
No, I'm a December.
You're December. Oh.
Who's that back there? Is that?
Please stand if you have a birthday in August.
Oh, Jean-Pierre. Hey, Marty, we've got 3 August birthdays here. Congrats. Keep standing. We're going to sing to you. You get your happy birthday
stand
today.
Stand up.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Yay! Way to go. All right.
And now it's the first Sunday of the month, so we always have our Diversity Sunday. For Diversity Sunday, the color is silver, which of course we are representing so poorly here, but I have nothing silver to wear, sorry. She's got a silver necklace on. The disciple with silver is Matthew. The location is the front of the brain. This is the decision-making, directing, choosing, determining faculty of the mind.
All right, August 1st, Lunasa, a Wiccan festival marking the beginning of the harvest season.
When I did research this, I found out it was also a Gaelic tradition. So being Irish and not Wiccan, I could celebrate that. And then we have Lammas Day, which is celebrated every August 1st. It's a wheat harvest festival that is also known as Loaf Mass Day. The holiday encourages celebrations and mass gatherings where individuals thank God for the first harvest of the season. According to the tradition, a loaf of bread has to be taken to Mass. Some of the roots for the Eucharist and communion in many of the different faiths.
The Assumption of Mary, August 15th. This Christian feast day commemorates Mary's death and her assumption into heaven.
And lastly, Raksha Bandham, which is Hindu, on August 20th, provides an opportunity for brothers and sisters to celebrate their affection and do something for each other. Isn't that sweet? That's special.
I've never heard of that one. That's
I had
awesome.
never heard of that one either, but I thought it was very nice. And now, Rudi, your congregational song. So this congregational song is I Open Myself to Love by Michael Stillwater. I asked Rudi for lyrics, but he prefers to lead us in his own unique way, which always works for us. So ladies and gentlemen, if you'll stand if you're able to and feel like it, Rudi will lead us in our song.
You already know the song, as the words are, I open myself to love. 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 Now go beyond the words and into the feeling of the song and sing it like you meant it. I open myself to love. 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 To peace. I open myself 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 to peace. Now if you turn to someone next to you and sing, I open myself to you. 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 Turn to someone else and sing. I open myself to you. 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 Now turn within and sing to the higher power of your understanding. I open myself to God. 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 I open myself to God.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you, Rudi. That was absolutely beautiful. So my talk today is Journey of the Soul. And I came up with this title. You know, I've been called upon to speak recently a little more than I had expected, so I kept preparing for the next time and then having to use that talk, right? So then I prepared for the next one, and now I had to go back and use that talk. So this is new. Journey of the Soul. When I was studying in my spiritual studies to become a minister, I loved my world religions class. It was one of my favorite classes to do because it opened me to acknowledging and realizing that there are many paths to God. You know, the saying is there are as many paths to God as there are people on the earth. And when you study world religion, it really comes full circle. And I love that quote from Hafiz, different names for the one God. So in discovering this title, I thought about it, and there's a Sufi tradition. Many of you are familiar with the Sufis, maybe you're not. Sufism is a portion, it's a part of Muslim, but it's a very esoteric portion of Muslim. I actually had an instructor who, not in a negative fashion, referred to the Sufis as the hippies of the Muslims because they're very creative, they are steeped in loving traditions, and they want everybody around them to feel good about what they're doing. The Sufis spend every moment of every day in their search and their seeking for the one divine connection with God. And it's a loving thing that they do every day, all day long. That's all they do. And they do it through many different expressions. They express themselves in music. They express themselves in poetry. Hafiz, one of my favorites, is Rumi. They also do this through dance. Has anyone ever heard of the whirling dervish? That is actually an active meditation that the Sufis practice. That's something that they do on a regular basis. I've never seen it in person. I've seen it in film. That would wear me out in about 2 seconds if it took that long. But that's what they do. They are actively engaged in their relationship with the divine. They are constantly seeking that higher level for their connection with God. So I thought about this, and I love looking into and reading about the Sufis. And one of the things that they believe in is a threefold spiritual path, their journey of the soul. And it's threefold. They have first the journey from God, the journey to God, and then the journey in God. So let's talk about those individually. The journey from God. That can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. The journey from God, for me personally, I was about 16 or 17 years old, being brought up in the Catholic Church, going through Catholic education. By the time I got to that age where I was allowed to express myself and learning how to do it respectfully, because when you're raised by a Marine in the Catholic Church in an Irish family, you know what happens if you don't, right? So I learned to express myself, and I realized this Catholicism, it ain't working for me. It wasn't resonating with me because I was being told it's this way or else. It's very rigid. The doctrine, the dogma, you had to believe this. And that didn't sit well with me because there were things outside of that. Just to give you an example, I grew up mostly in Memphis, Tennessee, and we're in the South now. Many of you, neighborhood friends that were very close to family were aunt and uncles, right? They became aunts and uncles. So Aunt Sarah and Uncle Mac were our neighbors that lived nearby. Loved these people dearly. Aunt Sarah was my grandmother's very best friend. Aunt Sarah was a very devout Southern Baptist woman. I mean, she was at church on Wednesday, church on Sunday, taught vacation Bible school. But the thing that impressed me most about Aunt Sarah, how many of you have heard the saying, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all, right? We grew up hearing that, didn't we? Aunt Sarah lived that, and I was in awe. Because my brother would do something, and I'd complain about him, and she'd go, don't say that. I'd see somebody do something that would hurt Aunt Sarah or wrong her, but she never, in my lifetime, I never heard that woman utter an unkind word about anyone. And I was in awe of that, because I know that I couldn't do it, and I know my family certainly wasn't in that vein. So here's Aunt Sarah, the devout Baptist, and here's my grandmother from Ireland, Catholic. And the Catholic Church at that time was teaching, if you're not Catholic, you can't go to heaven. And I found that very disturbing, because Aunt Sarah lived her faith. She wasn't just a Southern Baptist. She lived what she believed. And I went up to my grandmother one time and I said, do you really believe because Aunt Sarah's not Catholic that she's not going to go to heaven? And I didn't say that to be disrespectful, nor did I say it to shake my grandmother up, but it shook the foundation of her faith right then, because she realized she couldn't believe that either. And that began a spiritual path for me. But that spiritual path kind of had me turning from God, because I stepped away from the Catholic Church, and I stepped away from any type of organized religion. I stepped away from any doctrine and dogma, and that journey away from God took me personally on a self-exploration. Now, many of us step away from God for other reasons. I think everybody here has probably had some point in our life where we stepped from God. Maybe we got angry with God. I myself have had times in my life when I've gotten angry and said, how could you do this? How could you let this happen? When part and parcel of that was my responsibility. But I like to play the blame game. We all do, right? Because we're human. And it's the blame game. Well, if I can't blame you, I'm going to blame God. Because that's an easy fix for me. I can just blame God. Because God doesn't come back and get back at me for it, so I can do that. A lot of times we turn from God because we get into a treacherous lifestyle that's challenging and takes us down the wrong pathway. And that's our journey away from God. And it's kind of hard to see where that goes. But I think on those journeys, we're in a form of self-exploration. We're learning more about ourselves. We're learning about how we relate to the world around us. And I know when I hit my early 20s, getting up on a Sunday morning to go to church was the last thing I was thinking about. Many of those Sundays I was thinking about, where's the aspirin, the coffee, and will the room stop spinning? Because I like to party on Saturday night, right? Or I've got to get something to settle my stomach. This isn't working so well. But then as you get a little bit older, you start realizing that there's more than what we really thought there was. And for me, I don't think I ever turned away from God. I turned away from the idea of worshiping in a setting or subscribing to a specific dogma because they didn't fit. It was a box I couldn't get into, especially when I was in my 20s and started exploring my sexuality. And we're talking 80s now, and it's like, well, I don't fit in anywhere, do I? So, Connie and I tried many churches. She even dragged me to a Church of Christ one morning, and I'm sitting there going, where's the guitars? And she's going, shh, because Church of Christ has no musical instruments. So fast forward a little bit here, and we went to bar mitzvahs. I thought, oh, the Jewish faith, it's so beautiful. They're reading the Torah, and it's the tradition. And then that little voice would say, oh, the Catholic Church had the missal, and they had the music. You didn't like that either. So I was like, okay, I can't become a Jew. So I kept going through all these different things. And then in the early 2000s, a friend of ours, Connie and I had looked, truthfully, we had done a party like candle party at someone's house. And one of the women came up and she says, I bet you'd like this church we went to. Deb says, we've been church shopping. We found a church and we like the ministry. You got to go. We thought about it and we wrestled with the idea. And finally Connie said, let's go. I said, okay, so we get up Sunday morning. We had Megan then. There was no more aspirin and coffee, so it was good. But we decided we'd go to church. We get up, we dress, we get to the parking lot, and my sweet Connie says, I don't want to go in. And I'm sitting there going, whoa, whoa, whoa. I set an alarm on a Sunday morning. I got on nice clothes. We're going in. So we went into our first church of religious science, and I started listening to what they were saying. And one of the things that struck me was when I was told by this minister, you don't have to believe everything I'm telling you. You don't have to believe every single thing. You get to choose which of this works for you. And that was a big eye-opener to me. Because I had always believed that there was something there. I always believed that there was a God, that there was something bigger than I that was there. I just needed to know how to express myself through that. So it was a real eye-opening experience. And the more I went to this church, the more I started studying and reading and taking classes. And I started reading The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, who founded religious science. Ernest Holmes said this, and you can see why this resonated with me. I live in the faith that there is a presence and power greater than I am that nurtures and supports me in ways I could not even imagine. I know that its presence is all-knowing and all-powerful and is always right where I am. Is always right where I am. Is always right where I am. Doesn't matter where I am or what I'm doing. That presence, that power, that divine light is always right where I am. And it's at that point that I knew that I was on my journey to God. And I think some of us are still in that beautiful journey to God. And we find God in many, many different ways. You know, it's an expression. And this journey of the soul, this path to God is so personal. It's so individual. My path is not going to be the same as anyone else here. We are each on our own unique paths to God. And we know what that looks like for us. The very fact that we're here now, I think, represents the fact that most of us here are on our journey to God right now. And then the thing is that I loved about this too is when I'm on my journey to God and I set my intentions for what I want, this is what I want. Paulo Coelho, who wrote The Alchemist, says, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. All the universe. That should be a capital U in my opinion. The universe representing God. All the universe is conspiring on our behalf, always, every second of the day, to get what it is that we wish. So when we pray and we release that word, our prayer to God, in Science of Mind we say we release our word into the law of God, knowing that it is made so. And you have to have that kind of faith when you're saying those prayers, when you're in that journey to God. You have to have faith that when you say, and so it is, amen, let it go. If you go back 20 minutes later or that afternoon or that evening and go, you know what I was talking to you about before, right? Well, I want you to remember what I said. You didn't have faith when you said it the first time if you're going to revisit it. You have to have faith and believe that when you say amen, and so it is, it's done. It's taken into the law of God, and God's going to act upon that. And sometimes we just have a little bit of hesitation, don't we? Well, I think you heard me. Maybe you heard me. Let me yell a little louder. Did you hear me, God? We have to let it go. We have to know that it's going to be acted upon. And this is one of the most important things. We have to be open to how it will be returned to us. I had a woman that said, I treated for the perfect partner. And she had this man in mind. He's going to be 6'2" and blonde hair. And she had everything specifics. And she ended up meeting this 5'9" redhead who didn't always have he had what we might call a dad bod. You guys in the audience might know the dad bod. And she fell head over heels in love with him. So she got the perfect relationship, but you can't always expect it to come back with the finite, parameters you put in place, right? So on your journey to God, you have to be open. That's one of the most important things, is to be open and to realize that God is always on your side. The universe conspires to help you in achieving it. In the Bible, in Judges 18:6, it says, go in peace. Your journey has the Lord's approval. Your spiritual passport got a stamp on it, guys. It's okay. We can take the journey together because it's always going to be there. Now there's the journey. That's our journey to God. So where do you segue from the journey to God to the journey in God? And do you stay in one place or the other? For me, I don't think so. I think sometimes I'm on my journey to God, and then something happens, and I have that enlightened feeling or that awakening, and I'm able to go over to, now I'm on my journey in God. And I don't know that I always stay there. I wish I could. I don't know that I'm that enlightened. But I know that sometimes I get to that place where I'm in my journey in God, where I can embrace who I am, whose I am. Truth with a capital T. I can embrace the fact that I am one with the one. You've heard the words, I am that I am. Depends on where you put the emphasis on that. I am that I am. So it just depends on when you can accept the divinity within and truly acknowledge that you are a child of God, that you are one with the divine. And it's hard to stay in that place because we're human. We're human beings having a divine experience. And sometimes the humanity overcomes the divinity a little bit. And we have to step back and ask ourselves, what do I need to do to get back to that? But when you can embrace, when you can fully encompass and embody that divinity, when you can really truly understand that presence within you, then you get to step into that level, that step on the journey and say, I am a journey in God. We express God three ways. We express as God, we express through God, and we express in God. Or in, through, and as, I guess it should be. I'm sorry. We express in God, through God, but when you can express as God, and you know when that happens, it's a lighter feeling. You know that you just have made that connection. That spark is there, and it lights up. So this week, on our personal exploration, I've got one more quote here. Let me just, because this is, if I talk about Sufis, I have to end with Rumi. It's a Kathy rule. Rumi wrote this: journeys bring power and love back into you. If you can't go somewhere, move in the passageways of the self. They are like shafts of light, always changing, and you change when you explore them. You change when you explore them. So on your journey of the soul, each and every step you take is going to be changing you. And you get to decide where you are and how you're going to change and what steps you will take to make those changes. So this is what I would suggest for you this week as personal exploration. This week, explore where you are on your journey of the soul and how you will continue to the next level. Because I do believe that each of these journeys has multiple levels within it. And when you get to that point where you are journeying in God, I believe there are still multiple levels of achievement there. We don't ever get a chance to just sit and stagnate, do we? We're constantly in flux, we're constantly changing, constantly in motion. We have our own little whirling dervish going on sometimes. Mine's always in my head. We can do that. So I invite you to explore that. So let's go on for some meditation. Ready? I invite everyone to just get quiet, sit in your seats. Rudi and Jane and Emily are going to lead us in some music as well. I'd like you just to feel the seat supporting you. Feel that support. Relax your body, relax your shoulders and your arms and your legs, knowing you're being supported physically here in this building with these friends, this spiritual family. And know that you are also being supported spiritually. That God is always here. God is always holding you in loving arms, never, never dropping the ball. And as you sit there and relax into this, think of that spiritual journey that we are all on, and each one is individual to us. Each journey is taking us to different plateaus of experience. Each of these journeys takes us from God, to God, in God. Think about what that looks like for you. Think about what you want it to look like for you and how that expression will come through you. I know that each of us comes here for that nugget, that little bit of spirituality that takes us through the week. And I hope that this will be yours to know that you are on a journey of the soul. And that journey is yours to explore and yours to travel. By virtue of being here, we're no longer away from God. Together we are on our journey to God or in God. We are here to support one another as we are supported by Spirit. And so as we go into the silence, we contemplate the paths that we're on. And as we're contemplating that journey, let's bring our consciousness back into the room. Focus on today, the next steps that we're going to take, and know that the journey has the Lord's approval. That we can step out in faith, knowing that wherever those paths are, they are divinely appointed. So I invite you to bring yourself back into the room, wiggle, open your eyes, come back. And let's read today's affirmation 3 times with great enthusiasm. I embrace my spiritual journey. I embrace my spiritual journey. I embrace my spiritual journey. Thank you. And now we're going to say the Lord's Prayer, recite it. This is the translation from Aramaic, which was Jesus' native language, to English. Ready? Father, Mother, birther and breath of all, create a space inside us and fill it with your presence. Let oneness now prevail. Your one desire flows through ours as energy fills all forms. Give us this day our physical and spiritual nourishment. Untangle the knots of error that bind us as we release others. Don't let appearances make us forgetful of the source, but free us to act appropriately. For age to age from you comes the glorious harmony of life. May these words be fertile ground from which our future grows. Amen. And now special music with Rudi, I'm in You and You're in Me by Fantuzzi.
You are my mother, you are my father, you're my lover, you're my friend, you're the beginning, you are the center, you are beyond the end. You are the colors of the rainbow, the pure white light inside of me. You are the river, you are the mountain, you are the sky, you are the sea. I love you so, you help me see you in all, see you in me. I'm in you and you're 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 in me. Yeah, I want to touch you, I want to feel you, I want to be right by your side. I want to know you, I want to love you, be in your center all the time. You are my mother, branches of a tree are many, but the tree is one. The petals of a lotus are many, but the flower is one. The teachers and teachings are many, but the truth is one. The prophets and religions are many, but the Spirit is one. I love you so. You help me see you in all, see you in me. I'm in you and you're in me. I'm in you and you're in me. God, I'm in you and you're in me. I'm in you and you're in me.
All right. Don't you love it when Rudy's here? It's amazing. Thank you so much. So do we have any first-time guests today? Anybody who's first time here that wants to admit it? Last week we had a very nice woman and her daughter who sat there very quietly, and I went and sat next to her very quietly and said, "It's okay, I didn't want to speak either, it's all right." Okay, well, at this point now we're going to welcome our online guests. Whoops, I forgot that slide. Reverend Gary only gave me the clicker, but he also gave me the slide, so we're going to welcome our online guests that are here. We are glad you're joining us together online and hope that we see you in the sanctuary very soon. You're very important to us. So now, just to let everyone know, because Owen is with Reverend Gary, the recordings of our talks and meditations while they're gone, they are being recorded, right, John? But John doesn't do the editing, Owen does. So Owen's going to edit them, and sometime after his return on August 22nd, we will post them online for you. They'll be in the newsletter, and I'll have who the speaker was and the date so that you have that and can sort through it, okay? And now we're going to do our love offering together, our offering affirmation, if you'll join me. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful. Thank you, God. And now we'll do our walk of abundance. Feel free to take as many affirmations as you would like. They are here for you.
We lovingly appreciate all of the loving generosity from everyone today, knowing as we give, we also receive. We affirm appreciation and gratitude for all forms of love and generosity. Also, in our box of prayer requests, we affirm wholeness, health, prosperity, knowing that the resolution to every prayer is already in motion. Thank you, and so it is.
Amen. Thank you, Cynthia. You're up.
I'm Cynthia Smith, your prayer chaplain, and I will be in the front pews after the service. If you'd like to pray about anything, gratitude, something you're feeling challenged about, anything at all, I'm here.
Okay, Deb Thomas, can you come up? We're a little concerned because we have all these beautiful pews that some of you reserved a piece of our New Braunfels history.
Yeah. Okay. Reverend Gary asked me to get people to deliver pews and then the people who have purchased pews to kind of hook those people up because the new chairs are coming either this week or next week. We're not sure exactly which one, but they're on their way. They're going to be on their way. So we need to get these cleared out of here. So if you have purchased a pew or reserved a pew, I have a list of names of people here with phone numbers who are willing to deliver pews. If you reserved a pew, you haven't paid for it, you can either put a check, there's a lock box, there's a box outside the office door. You could put your $100 check in there if you want to. If you do Breeze, you can pay for it via Breeze. There's a place where you can tell us that it's for a pew. So, like I said, we need to get these out of here. If you need a copy of the list of people, I have extras here, and I'll leave them out on the welcome table over here, so everybody can get them. John Nonamaker said he would after the list was made, so we can add him to the list. The other thing is we have had some cancellations, people who figured out that they couldn't use the pews. We've had about 5 of them, so that I know of. So if you didn't reserve a pew and you've now decided you want one, we are more than happy to sell you one. Or if you know of anybody who could use a pew or 2 or 3. Or 5. Yeah. The other thing is when the chairs come, they're going to contact me, and then we need people to come over here and help unload them because the driver is not going to unload the chairs. There are 60 chairs to unload. I don't think it'll be a big deal. We can do it pretty quick if we get 2 or 3 people. So if you are willing and able to be on the chair unloading team, please let me know. Let me have your phone number, and when I get the call or some better idea about when they're coming, I will let you know. So, anybody have any questions, comments, whatever?
I want to reiterate for Deb, we still have the YMCA camp here for 1 more week this week. So if by chance those chairs arrive and these pews are still here, Houston, we got a problem because we don't have any place to put the chairs. So if we can coordinate, if you reserve that pew, let's get that paid for and get this list, and we'll get these things moved out to you. There's only 15 in here right now, so it's not horrendous, but in the event that we get them this week, we may run into a little snag, and we're really hoping that doesn't happen. So let us help you get those pews home for you.
Yes, thank you very much, because there's also the week after next, there's a huge AA meeting here on Wednesday nights. Gary was saying we could maybe put them in Gratitude and Prosperity room, the extra ones. They're not going to have enough room if we put pews in there, so we really need to get them out of here.
All right. Thank you, Deb. Thank you. Oh, that goes to Cynthia. We have a potluck today. It's first Sunday of the month. If you haven't brought a dish, there's always plenty of food to have, so please feel free to stay and join with us. The one thing I will request is when we're done with the potluck, we do need to get the rooms back to some semblance of Kidsville for the Y tomorrow. The Gratitude and Prosperity room is going to be fine. The Life room, we'll need to put some more tables back up. So anybody that can help us afterwards would be great.
Food drive, bring your non-perishable foods to the church, put them in the food bank barrel, the bright red barrel back in there in the lobby, and we will get them over to the food bank, and any assistance you can provide is appreciated because they could really use the help. Thank you.
I love that every Sunday morning I come in and the barrel is pretty much empty, and by the end of the day, I think right now it's overflowing. It just shows the love of this community. And then we have our Twice Blessed thrift store. Come and visit the thrift store, see what's new. These beautiful black or wooden plaques make great decoration. If you have an alcove or even just putting on a bookcase up against the wall, make sure you come in. Connie could definitely use some new, gently used items. So spring is over, it's summer, and since it's so hot this week, you probably want to spend time doing nothing but looking through and seeing what you can bring in for Connie to put in the thrift store, okay? And now we have our special music with Rudi Harst, Step Out in Faith by Rudi Harst.
It's time to step out in faith. It's time to step out in faith. It's time to step out in faith. Don't you know that the time has come? Don't you know that the time has come to decide which direction you want to turn? Will you live in fear? Will you try to hide? Or trust in life and learn? It's time to step out in faith. Time to step out in faith. Time to step out in faith. Don't you know that the time has come? Oh, the time to choose is coming. It's coming soon. The tide of change is rising. Some say everything will be ruined. But you and I are called upon to take a bigger view, to remember that the light of God will always see us through. It's time to step out. Sing it with us. Step out in faith. It's time to step out. Step out in faith. It's time to step out. Step out in faith. Don't you know that the time has come? It's time to step out. Step out in faith. It's time to step out. Step out in faith. Don't you step out. Step out in faith. Don't you know that the time? Don't you know that the time? Don't you know that the time has come? Dutch Visser on bass. Isn't he a wonderful addition to the team? And of course, Emily and Jane, we love you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the music just seems to get better every Sunday. It's awesome. Okay, so right now we're going to turn around and say goodbye to the people that have joined us online. Turn wave, send them some good vibes that direction. Thank you for being here with us. I hope we'll see you again next Sunday. And if you can be here in person and feel the beautiful energy from your friends here, I know you'll enjoy it.